So what about your time up in Yellowstone, Willis? What could you tell us about that? You were driving the park bus, weren't you?
Well, that's quite a lengthy story, yeah. I drove bus up there 3 different years in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I got up there the first time is that I'd had a accident playing football, and I had a minor skull fracture. The doctor said I couldn't work for a year. So a friend of mine and his family were moving to Montana, and I drove a car and pulled a trailer. And that's where I tried out for the Yellowstone bus. So I drove 3 years in Yellowstone. Then, of course, that's where I met Edith the last year I was driving.
How did that happen exactly?
We went on a blind date up to Old Faithful.
No kidding.
One of the gals set up a blind date with us, and that started the whole thing. That was quite a time when the train still ran to West Yellowstone, you know, and they'd unload and come on the buses, and we'd take them into the park for 2 or 3 days, you know. It was quite a deal. The first bus we had was made by White Company, and a big yellow thing with a canvas top that folded clear back.
How old were you when that was going on? It was 1939 or 37 or something, wasn't it?
I went up there in 36.
Okay.
And the last year I drove was 39.
Uh-huh.
While I was in Montana, I worked on the Northern Pacific Railroad switching, and I worked with these brothers baling hay over in Wyoming. I slept in the haystacks at night, so.
Really? You slept in a haystack at night, huh?
Oh, yeah. Wake up in the morning, have frost on your beard.
That's before you were a policeman, though, right? That's when you were...
I went from there to the police department.
Uh-huh. So how was that job for you, being a policeman? I read in a news article that you were a motorcycle policeman, right?
I rode a motorcycle for about 12 years, I guess. And I was going to work, and some kid threw a rock and it hit my front tire. Dumped me into the curb.
Were you hurt?
Not as bad as I should have been. At that time, we weren't wearing helmets at all. We just had those soft hats, you know, with a bill. The bill saved me. It hit the curb first. And one of our captains was coming the other direction. He called it the radio and said, "We got a dead cop." I was unconscious, you know, but not dead.
So it knocked you out and you recovered. Did they ever find the scallywag who threw the rock at you?
Oh, it was just a little kid. I could see him out the corner of my eye, you know, just standing on the curb throwing rocks out in the street.
Wow.
About 3 or 4 years old, I guess. So. Well, I had developed that motor squad that did all the performing too and all the parades too. So we had 18 motors, and we did the fancy diagram during the parade shows.
So you would ride your motorcycle in formations in parades and stuff?
Oh, yeah. And they're still using the same ones that I used, using the same formations.
Boy, that takes some skill and some patience to turn and you go slow and balance and all that, huh?
Yeah, well, I was sergeant at that time, and then later on got promoted to lieutenant. So that's quite an experience. 38 years of law enforcement altogether.
38 years. What year did you retire?
I retired from the police department and went over to the Salt Palace and set up the security for the county at the Salt Palace. So at that time I was a deputy sheriff. So for 11 years I was a deputy after I'd retired. It was a big arena where all the performers took place, and all the professional hockey and professional basketball and all the conventions and everything. It's quite a deal.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of logistics to keep crowds in order and keep the law at the games and everything. Yeah.
A lot of stuff. Well, my grit's about one voice on it, I think.
All right, Willis. We'll talk to you soon.
Nice talking to you.
Okay. Bye-bye.